When you are working with a reactive dog, meaning any dog which sees a trigger, usually, most often, either another dog or a person, they see the trigger and they have an emotional reaction. And that emotional reaction can fall anywhere on a pretty big scale of behavior. It might be something minor, like really focusing on that trigger, noticing it, staring at it, etc. It might be as severe as barking, lunging, growling, snarling, trying to get towards whatever that trigger is. And the reasons behind it could be a variety of things, but the most common are fear and nervousness. And that holds true for my friend Lucy. It's most often fear, nervousness, and a little bit of excitement too. She gets very stimulated, very excited when she sees another dog. At the same time that happens, there's also that conflicting feeling of fear where she doesn't necessarily want them to get close to her. And so what sometimes happens is when she sees a dog, particularly if they come out of nowhere, then she gets very excited, a surge of adrenaline floods her body, and she reacts outwardly, barking, lunging, getting very, very excited. And so how do we manage that, right? How do we manage it so that we keep her safe, we keep everybody else safe, and we teach her that that's not an appropriate response, but also support her in that moment of difficulty? Because dogs are never trying to give us a hard time. They're having a hard time. And so how can we support her emotional well-being? How can we help her navigate managing that excitement in the moment? And so one of the most common techniques that I utilize with her, as well as any other dog, good girl, is the cue, let's go. And let's go means that we are on the move and I need you to move along with me. Now, like anything that you teach your dog, you have to practice these things at times that you don't necessarily need it, so that when you do need it, they already know the expectation, they already know the reward if they engage in the behavior that you're asking them to, and they're ready and able and willing to do that behavior. And so I'm going to show you what let's go looks like, and I'll give you an example of how I would use it to prevent a reaction as well as to manage a reaction, or perhaps better said, interrupt and redirect a reaction. And so look how patient she is. She's so good. Let's go. Good girl. Good job, Lucy. Let's go. Good, very good. And so let's go simply indicates I'm on the move. I need you to move along with me. It also indicates that we're changing direction. So it might be utilized when you're stationary and then beginning to move, or it might be utilized when you're changing directions. And so that's important to keep in mind, because my go-to, my suggestion is to utilize it to get distance away from whatever that trigger is and help interrupt and redirect that reaction. And so what that might look like is something like this. Let's go. Good. You're walking. Okay. Let's say that as we're walking, a dog comes out of nowhere. Doesn't really matter from where. Let's say it's from behind the camera. Okay, let's go. There's a gate right behind the camera, so let's pretend that as we're walking nicely like this, and doing some marking and rewarding for engagement prior. I always am a proponent, Lucy, of marking and rewarding behavior that you want to see repeated. So maybe you're already talking to your dog, you're telling them good look, you're giving them an occasional treat for making good decisions that you want to see repeated. And so as that dog comes toward us or comes out of behind a corner unexpectedly, we're simply going to say, let's go. And we're not going to engage in the reaction. Let's go. Good, very good. Look how quickly she turns. Now the reason she does that, let's go. Good. The reason, let's go. Good, and I practice this with all my dogs, okay? Be free. That she's so quick on that turn and re-engaging with me is because we've practiced often. And she also knows that if she, okay, relax. if she engages in that cue, if she gives me any behavior I like. So she gives me eye contact, she starts to move voluntarily with me, she curves her body, then I'm going to mark and reward that highly. We've established those expectations prior. So we did that by practicing often. And then when I use that cue, I look for the very next positive thing that she offers that I can mark and reward so that she knows, yes, you're doing what I want you to do. And she continues to offer that behavior, right? And because it's been rewarded so highly and so consistently with Lucy, because we've been working on this for a little while, she's really quick. Her reaction is quick. She's an eager worker. She loves to work. She loves to train. And so luckily all it takes is that cue and she is right there with you. And so whether you see a potential trigger from a distance and you're trying to proactively avoid a reaction, proactive is always better than reactive. So if we see them at a distance, we just turn and go in the other direction. Mark, reward, let's go, get some distance. If it happens where the dog comes out of nowhere, same exact response. And even if she were seemingly to, good girl. We both were tuning in because we could hear maintenance's keys, but we were wondering if it was a dog collar. Because with a reactive dog, and actually any dog, your head is on a swivel, right? That's so that you can set them up for success. So anyway, back to it. Oh, where was it going with that, huh? Oh, so if it's mid-reaction, same response, you don't give any attention to the behavior that you don't like and don't want to see repeated. So lunging, barking, snarling, growling, etc. And instead, gently tug the leash to the side towards where you want her to go. We're not pulling back, we're not yanking up, we're not leash popping, we're not dragging, we're not doing any of that. We're using the slightest bit of gentle pull towards you so that she has a physical indicator combined with your cue to remind her, oh, right, my human handler is at the other end of the line and they need me to go in the direction that they're guiding me, and let's do what we've practiced before, right? And so, for example, okay, let's go. You'll notice that each time we turn, let's go, I'm turning away from her, and so if she did end up being taut on the leash, there was tension there, then she's gonna feel that very gentle pressure, okay, be free, of the leash pulling away from her, and she's going to go in that direction. Where the head goes, the body goes. And so, oh, very good, especially if you've taught your dog appropriately with positive reinforcement techniques. If you've taught them about leash pressure, meaning that if there's pressure and tension on the leash, we don't move. That doesn't get you anywhere. It's not effective. If you taught them that, then you'll have a dog like Lucy who she walks loose leash, she stays right with you, she's tuned in, she's checked in. And so even in those moments of crisis, so long as the human handler remains that calm, confident leader, that calm, confident tour guide, if you will, then she's still able to respond to that cue and come along with you. The technique is interrupt and redirect. So rather than giving attention or energy to the reaction, we're simply saying, you know, we're not really interested in that behavior. Let me help you. I'm going to guide you this way. And then the moment that she does something you like, it's yes, 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 yes. High incentive treats, lots of praise, lots of reward, and lots of practice. The more you practice, the more you're consistent, the better your dog will be. And so I hope that helps you with whatever reactivity challenges that you are having. Whether it is, good girl, proactive management and avoiding triggers as much as possible, or getting distance or using other techniques, or interrupting and redirecting a reaction. Now, something else to remember is just because your dog doesn't outwardly react does not mean that they're comfortable. Okay, we need to look at the whole picture. We need to look at their body language and their communication. And so if hypothetically that scenario happened where the dog came out from behind the camera, we say, let's go, mark and reward, etc. The moment that I have enough distance away and have like a safe spot for her to take a minute to decompress, I'm going to allow for that. I'm going to do one of two things. I'm either going to allow for a sniffy break, or I'm going to allow for a sniffy break combined with the go find game. meaning take a handful of kibble and or treats, wave it right under their nose, say go find, throw it in some low-lying grass bushes. Look, she's looking just because I did the, she's so funny. You're the best, you know that? And so you throw it right down in front of them, and then they put their nose to the ground, they're rooting around. That sniffing, that rooting is meditative. It's really calming for most dogs. Is that it? Did I get everything, supervisor? Did you get it all? All right, should we go back to work? I think so. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, as always, reach out. I am more than happy to help. And thanks to my assistant, huh? You the best? Yeah, the best.